Now, on that note, this is what I was going to talk about. So, this has been more of a story in the last couple of days more than anything else. I mean, the story broke on Thursday night, on Friday, but this has kind of been prominent in the last 48 hours or so as of this recording on Tuesday afternoon, that Hulk Hogan is doing himself no favors at all by staying on Twitter. Twitter can either be your best friend, it can be your best friend, or your worst enemy. You're hearing this is coming from someone that knows that has a lot of history with that and using Twitter the wrong way. In years past, thankfully not anymore. I learned my lesson. Hopefully Hulk should too. But it seems like even after all these years, after he has tweeted stupid stuff or has used Twitter the wrong way, posting inappropriate photos, saying inappropriate things on Twitter, just being trolled into an oblivion. It's immense. It's an asinine. It's crazy how much this guy has been trolled on social media, and he still continues to use Twitter. I remember back on April Fool's Day, and I don't mean to like make a joke of it. I just thought it was funny when it happened. I mean, it sucks. It's very sad, but it is kind of hilarious at the same time. I think it was April Fool's Day. He got trolled both last year on April Fool's Day and this year. Someone tweeted him like, "Oh, I'm the world's greatest father. Can I get a retweet?" And it ended up being like some terrorist or something like that. People will do that to Hulk Hogan because he will retweet anything that says, "I'm your biggest fan," that looks like it's positive when it's really not. Like in the last 48 hours, he had retweeted some comments from people saying, "Oh, I'm your biggest fan. Me and my dad are supporting you." And it's like a picture of Drake, soccer players, and congressmen, and all this other weird stuff. Like Hulk Hogan has no idea what he's doing. I'm surprised, not only that Hulk Hogan, I mean, I'm not surprised that Hulk Hogan is doing that, but more surprised that no one close to him, a lawyer or somebody, is telling him, stop fucking using Twitter. It is hurting your reputation. It's making the situation only worse. He had retweeted some comments that, compared his situation to President Obama using the N-word in one of those recent podcasts, which I remember hearing about. But it wasn't something bad. Obviously, he just used the N-word to clarify something, and the internet obviously just kind of imploded about it, just saying, "Oh, why would you say such a thing?" And it was something so small, and he didn't use it in the way that people intended him to use it. It was a whole different situation, but for someone to compare that to this there is no comparison. Hulk Hogan, it was hateful speech, and Obama was something completely different. He did not mean anything hateful by it whatsoever in using that word. And it doesn't matter if you have it end in an ER or an A or whatever. It's a disgusting word that should be banished. I mean, it doesn't matter how you use it, if you want to use it. I mean, words are words, and it only really matters in how you use them. I understand that. I'm a full believer in that. That's why I swear all the time. I mean, it's only really a matter of how you, what you mean by the words that you use. But in the political correct world, I mean, I'm not even saying that this is that the PC world we live in is to blame. The guy said a lot of racist shit against some people, and he meant hateful things by them when he said this. I know it was 9 years ago. He was in a bad place. It doesn't make it okay. If he wasn't punished then, he should be punished now. That's the way that I look at it. But even in today, you have to be careful of what you say. Not even if you're in the public light. I know there's a lot of pressure on celebrities to watch what they say and do, because there's cameras on you at all times that are just waiting for you to fuck up so they can make a story out of it. But this goes far beyond that. This goes, even to people like the common guys, the common Americans, the common males and females, just like me and you. Just the common folk is what I'm looking for here. Was the term that I was looking for. You have to watch what you say. It doesn't matter if you're well known, if nobody knows who you are, especially on social media. I know this was all on tape and whatever, but you really have to watch what you say, even though it was something dumb. You made a racist remark years ago. Havoc was just recently in the news for having said something racist. I know she said it like jokingly, quote unquote, but she got a lot of heat for it. She was at a WWE tryout when some fans had pulled up her history of being a racist. Not just one occasion, just multiple occasions over the course of over the period of a few years, and it got her in some deep shit. I don't think she would have been hired anyway. She wasn't really that good. But from what I believe, it cost her at least getting a look from WWE, regardless of whether she was good or not. They didn't even want to bother considering her for hiring her for WWE for employment because of what she said. And it's not because they believe she's racist, but it's because of, she has a track record with saying stupid shit on social media. Will she do the same thing if she's employed to us? I think that's kind of the mindset here that people have to consider. It's not only that is Hulk Hogan a racist, we can't have a racist under contract to WWE. It also goes back to he said this thing. He has said these things once before, regardless of whether he's racist or not. What is stopping him from saying them again in the future? That's what I think the main concern, not the main concern, or one of the top main concerns is when it comes to this whole situation. Hulk Hogan said a lot of dumb stuff in the past. He's lied about a lot of things. A lot of those are white lies. They're not hurting anybody, but he has been known to kind of tell tall tales in the past. And, what is stopping him from doing the same thing in the future? When it comes to something like this, anyway, when it comes to saying, like, I was in Metallica, I was going to be in this movie, I was going to be in that movie, sure, Hulk, no one cares. Stuff like that, whatever. But when it comes to stuff like this, it's a really serious situation. So, in closing, I don't blame WWE for firing him. I don't blame them whatsoever. They had to do what they had to do. They're a publicly traded company. It sucks, and I'm absolutely disappointed by the situation. Don't get me wrong, but things to consider just going forward to improve it, and you just got to move on. Time heals all wounds. I'm a full believer in that. I don't think he's going to be back in the public light, or he should be back on in the public eye at any point in the near future. I mean, using Twitter will not help his cause, and hopefully that's the first step he takes is either to delete his Twitter or just stop using it for the foreseeable future. I love Hulk Hogan. He's a very loving guy from what it seems. But you got to get off social media, buddy. It's not helping you at all. It's not helping your case whatsoever. But anyway, time heals all wounds, but it's going to take a lot of time for Hulk Hogan to recover from this. It's a very, not a scary situation. It really sucks to see as a wrestling fan, as a Hulkamaniac, as a guy that has been a Hulk Hogan fan. I remember years ago when I was a kid, like I said, I started watching wrestling back in late 2008. Or early 2008, rather. April of 2008. I've been a wrestling fan for over 7 years at this point, which is not much by any stretch compared to a lot of people. But anyway, that's how long I've been watching wrestling. But even before that, years before that, I had been a Hulk Hogan fan. I still remember to this day watching the Three Ninjas movie. Oh, man, I forgot what it was called. I'm going to look it up right now, but it was called The Three Ninjas, and Hulk Hogan was in it. It was the amusement park one. I'm going to look it up right now because I forgot what the name of it was. I remember years ago sitting down and watching Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain from 1998 when he was still in WCW. And just, not even, I knew he was a wrestler, but just from his one appearance in that movie, I just become such a huge fan of Hulk Hogan. And then you kind of fast forward a couple years later to his appearance in Muppets in Space. I'm a huge Muppets megamark. I've talked about, not on here before, but on Twitter, I'm a huge Muppets fan. I always have been, I always will be, and his appearance in that movie was kind of a highlight for me. But just stuff like that, I've always been a Hulk Hogan fan, so it really does hurt me to see him in this bad situation, but all you can really do is hope for the best, It's not going to be a situation that blows over tomorrow or the next day or next week or next year. I said the same thing with CM Punk. He's not going to be back next week, next month, not even next year, maybe not even in the next decade, but he will be back at some point. And I still believe the same thing can be said for Hulk Hogan. I know he's 61 years old, and, he doesn't, I'm not saying he's going to die in the next year or so, God forbid, that'd be terrible. But it would be nice to see him back in WWE at some point. I'm not forgiving him just because he was in a bad place at that time. It is worth considering. It's not like he said this stuff just recently, and it's, like I said, it's really unfortunate because this was a guy that was, leading the breast cancer cause in WWE, their whole promotion for the Susan G. Komen thing, their whole fundraiser for that. He would come out on Raw and promote this and promote that, promote the network. He was on everything network related and everything like that. So it's unfortunate. It really is. And I feel bad for him. I feel bad for WWE they didn't do anything wrong. I mean, they're absolutely, like I said, justified in firing him. But, fingers crossed for Hulk Hogan. I'm pulling for him. But he made his bed. He's going to lie in it. He said it, regardless of whether it was 9 years ago or it was yesterday. Just because he was in a bad place, I hate to keep on repeating myself, but just because he was in a bad place doesn't make it right. And if he wasn't punished for it then because no one knew about it, he might as well be punished for it now, So pulling for you, Hulk. Hopefully you can get over this thing, and hopefully this situation will only we'll see some positive news hopefully by the end of it. And like I said, it's a really unfortunate situation, but here's hoping that the best comes out of it in the end.